It's time to think different. Why are we doing things the same way that we always have? Why are we following this narrative when the workforce is asking for something different? Now, after 2 decades of working in human resources, I see the energy leaving. I see people chasing energy in the places that are thriving. And what we want to do is refocus our efforts and our talent management, our performance management, our workforce energy management towards a more motivating topic. This is focusing on outcomes, not hours. We're going to start building result-oriented teams. And how we're going to do that is through a few practical steps, but I just wanted to back up for a moment and talk about why this matters. I want to give you 2 scenarios. So one scenario is scenario A. So scenario A is you need to get 3 priorities done today. You have 3 targets to hit today. In an average 8-hour day, you have 3 targets to hit today. And then let's talk about scenario B. Scenario B is you have 40 hours to fill this week. Which one sounds more energizing? Which one sounds more autonomous, that you can take control of, that you can maybe do it your own way, put your own time towards it? Which one provides a little bit more space, a little bit more competitive motivation to get it done? It's scenario A. And why that is because you're focusing on the target, the result, and not the time. And the issue with time-based models is that we want to fill the time. It becomes long hours, and that doesn't necessarily mean more productive. It doesn't really capture people's values and skill sets that they bring either. They fill the time, which means they fill it with noise. It's not really value-added work to the business. This can also allow time for drama and gossip and things that come into play that are just drainers, right? We all have those weeks where you get to Friday and you just fill it. You fill it by gossiping, you fill it by talking to different people. And the reason for that, and this research has been around for over 70 years, is Parkinson's law. So you can see where scenario A lives and where scenario B lives. So scenario A, you have 8 hours and you have to complete 3 tasks. You're going to be more productive. This is scenario A. This is results-oriented teams. Scenario B, on the other hand, which is the lower graph, if you have 40 hours or 1 week to fill, that productivity is going to go down. Your focus is going to go down. The value you're bringing is going to go down, and it's elongated. And I think why the workforce over the decades has moved away from scenario B or moved into scenario B is because when you do scenario A and you get things done and you're on point, well, there's a lot of value in that to companies, and so then they overload it. They reward you by more work. And that's where the negative consequences have come in. So people say, why try? Don't give me more work. I'd rather just do scenario B. Just give me 40 hours and I'll figure out what to do with it. Now, do you see how de-energizing that can be and how defeating it can be for a team? You're going to have overperformers and underperformers. And the overperformers will continue to get overloaded until they leave, causing turnover. And then the underperformers struggle even more because they have been groomed that way that the overperformers will pick up the work, and then you have a retention problem. So it's this vicious cycle going back and forth. And why we need to focus more on outcomes and not hours, performance over presence, is because we need to start guiding people back to this scenario A of focusing on some tasks to achieve, some results to achieve, and they will fill their 8 hours accordingly with value instead of noise. Now, the benefits of taking away this Parkinson's law of filling time, work expands to fill that available time. And this research has been around for human behavior over 70 years, since 1955, this elasticity of filling time. We can get rid of that by focusing on results-oriented work. And here's the approach that we can do. Improved productivity, and employees are more motivated by results. And stick with me on this. This is the example that I can give, is you will play like a Nintendo game. Right? Let's just take Mario or any kind of Nintendo game that we all know, and you will play it over and over and over again. because you're focused on the result, going to the next level. You're focused to the result because then who knows what's in the next level, or maybe you get to obtain an item, or you get that super sword, and we'll do that over and over again. And it's fun. It's energizing. You can play games for hours. Now, say if I say you have 2 hours to play Nintendo, it's a little less motivating. You're kind of lost. There's not a lot of clarity there. What are you supposed to be doing? It might even take you a long time to choose the game, and it's just not as exciting. Versus, can you hit 3 levels today? You're going to be motivated, and you're actually probably going to want to prove that you can do it pretty fast. So you're going to be focused. You're going to be in it. You're going to be in your energy flow. That's scenario A and scenario B, because that gaming, that fun, we have taken away because we just say fill the 40 hours. You have to work 40 hours this week. Now, there's obviously a lot of other benefits with this. Is you can do more project work, more consultant type of work with your workforce. You can do shared job roles. You can do flexible schedules. There's a lot of opportunity here that the workforce is asking for in this busy, chaotic life that results-oriented teams can provide. Now, the cool thing with this is when I start working with organizations on energy and productivity while preventing burnout, we get into this energy flow. And the cool thing is you start to see creativity come back, and these brainstorming sessions and thinking of different forward-moving solutions comes a little bit more naturally in the flow of conversation. And there's different factors we have to work on within teams in energy management, but that problem solving and critical thinking starts to come into play just like when you're playing a Nintendo game, because you're allowing that space to focus on the results versus we have to get this done in this amount of time, so let's wait to the last minute. The thing that happens naturally when we work through this process is higher engagement. So companies are looking at activities and social things outside of work to re-engage their workforce, but the tools are right there, right in front of you. You have to start shifting from hours to results. And then they feel valued. They feel empowered. Now, the average worker in the United States, at least, works on average or produces 60%. 60% productivity per day. So that means there's 40% that can still be produced, but it doesn't mean more. It means higher value. It means higher quality. It means providing a skill set or enhancements and advancements in your business because you're allowing that focus, because you're looking for results instead of filling the hours. So I want to reinforce this because as a high performer, it felt like the more that I could provide, the more that was given to me. And eventually I had that resentment and almost like rebellion against doing well. And it's because I was almost being punished. And so we want to make sure that when we're saying, hey, can you get these 3 tasks done today? These are your focus, that we're focusing on that specific task, that result. And if they have more time, they are allowed to fill it. They're not allowed to fill it with scrolling on social media and things like that, but they're allowed to fill it with things that they want to focus on, their passions. Maybe they just want to organize their spreadsheets and files, those things that are overwhelming over time. Allow them that space because guess what? They put in the work, they provided quality and value, and now they can spend it with something that might energize them. And that's what we want to get to. That's how we lose leaders and their passion is they get away from why they started something, why they went into this career path, because of all the noise and extra that gets put on them. So allow them that space. The cool thing about this is when you give people that space and they're getting the things that have to be done, they allow more space, or they seek more efficiencies. They seek automating some tasks that are bogging them down so they can have this space. Again, autonomy. So building a results-oriented team obviously has a lot of positives in it. Now, what we want to be careful of is how we apply this. I think there's a theoretical way, which we all know doesn't survive in the real world, and then we have a more practical way. So I want to go through a few practical tools with you. The first one is going to be clear and measurable goals. So, a lot of reasons why companies do not want to start this process in workforce energy management is they don't really know their goals. And it's interesting when you ask that because I asked, is it budget? Is it time? And they tell me, we don't really know what we're supposed to be working on. So, you can see where a lot of benefit can come from some of this work. And that's why this takes a couple sessions, and it can be done virtually. It can be just, kickoff meetings to get your team started and follow up from there. But what we want to do is focus on these 5 practical steps to move to a more results oriented team. The first one is clear SMART goals across the organization, across departments. And what are SMART goals? SMART goals are specific, they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and they're time-based. Now, there's certainly plenty of videos out there to explain SMART goals a little bit more, but I'm from manufacturing, so this just brings a lot of clarity and connection and collaboration because everyone's on the same path to this result. So SMART goals are important. Yes, you put in a lot of upfront work in creating SMART goals, but guess what? You don't lose productivity when you create a SMART goal. You stay on the path to the result that you want to. So short-term pain for long-term gain. The next practical step is employees managing their time. This comes with high accountability that we're going to get to in a little bit, but why I have to work through different sections of the workforce energy management is because the team has to build trust. The team has to work on collaboration and how they communicate with each other. They have to understand each other's work styles and what motivates them. So all these factors go in, and guess what? There's trust and communication there then for them to build out their own time. And why that matters is no one wants to be micromanaged. What a waste. If you wanted to micromanage people, then you should just get robots. You should just get automated tools. People bring value. People bring skill sets. And that's what we want to focus on, is having their efforts and time on that. So allowing people to focus on that result. So you have 3 tasks to complete in 8 hours. Give them the autonomy to spend the time that they want to. Some people will take longer than others. Some people will whip it out by lunch, and then the rest of the day they can focus on managing their team or organizing their files or working on that project that they've just been so passionate about. Again, still work-related activities, but you got the result-oriented priority done for the day. So allow them to manage their time. I think by now we know that humans are different, our behaviors are different, and we work in different ways. There's some that love the office, there's some that love remote work, there's some that like both. So allowing them to manage their time, as long as all those foundations and tools are set up, is a beautiful way to re-engage your workforce. So we set clear, SMART goals. We're re-engaging our workforce and allowing them to manage their time because they have the right tools and the right relationships to be successful in that. Now, the third thing that I want you to do, and I want you to have those first 2 first, because this next one, leveraging technology, doesn't really happen effectively until you have those first 2 done. So when we tracked performance, track progress through leveraging technology, I think so far, at least from what I've heard on social media and some of the clients that I work with or after conferences, people talking to people, is it's been used as a weapon. People will use Teams analytics and Outlook analytics to see how much you've been online, when your status is inactive during the workday, and it's used as a weapon. And I think that just shows low trust in an organization. So to talk about energy drainers, right? We want to think different. These tools can actually be used for time management and enhancing people's passion and energy when it's used as that. So you can actually pull Teams analytics and email analytics with how many emails you're sending to certain people. You can color code your calendar, and then after the month is done, see how much in that color category you spent your time. Again, if I'm time blocking with my team and I want people to really be hitting these priority tasks every day, and then I want them spending the rest of the day on their projects and their passion, they can color code their calendar that way. And so at the end of the month, when I'm having my one-on-one with my team, I can say, wow, you're spending a lot more on tasks than your passion project. So maybe we can shift some time. Where are you struggling? Where can we gain some efficiencies and automation? Where are you getting hung up that these tasks are taking so long in your day that you can't focus on your passion projects? That's where analytics can thrive. And I don't need to spend a lot of time gathering these analytics. They're all provided for me as long as I have the setup ready. The setup's not just in color coding your calendar and how you label things. The setup's in the trust, the communication, and the collaboration. So all that's there. That foundation is thriving. The energy is moving. Employees are trusting their leaders in that tracking, right? They have clear, concise communication there. Everyone knows the goal because you created SMART goals. Now move into the analytics of it. And performance management can be automated because everyone's on the same page and everyone's thriving to the same result. So do you see the energy? Right? We're all moving to something instead of this like being watched, being micromanaged. So leveraging technology works as long as it's used as a tool and not a weapon. And then the fourth one, which is interesting when I do leadership coaching, leadership workshops, working with focus groups of emerging leaders that are like your high performers or people who have a really great people skill set and they're moving into leaders. Feedback. Leaders are very nervous and apprehensive to give constructive feedback. And so getting them comfortable with regular feedback, because no one likes a boss that at the end of the year during their performance review has feedback that isn't great. And they had a whole year to tell you. It's after the fact now. It's after the fact that you didn't correct me or my behavior. So now I have to do cleanup, not real-time correction. And so getting leaders and the people who are leading these processes comfortable with regular feedback is going to benefit the whole organization. Again, if you want results-oriented teams, it's got to be real-time. Otherwise, you're already behind the 8 ball. So focusing on those results, not just efforts. Because if you're not hitting those SMART goals, something's wrong, something's broken. Please address root causes. Don't let it spin for months and now you're addressing all the symptoms. Being real time in feedback because you have trust, because you have collaboration, because you have communication in your team, allows you to keep moving towards that results-oriented approach. Now, the fifth one, which is kind of all-encompassing of all the steps, is accountability within the team. If you have a goal in mind, you have deadlines and you have tasks to meet every day, if you aren't meeting it, you need to hold yourself accountable or have an accountability partner or mentor within your team, because I think that putting this constantly on leaders to hold your team accountable is just a fancy form of micromanagement. So certainly there's people, and I was one of them because I just love my hands in all the pots. I love to be involved with everything. As a high performer, I was very good at many things, so I would overhelp people, and it probably wasn't in my job description. So my accountability was staying in my lane because I was actually making people under responsible. My accountability was staying focused on my projects and my passion. So accountability can be in different ways because of poor performance, because things aren't being completed, not completed with quality, or not hitting the goals that we set forth. Or it can be, hey, you're going all different lanes and getting distracted, so you can't focus on your passion and the value that you bring to this organization. So there's two different ways there, and accountability is going to go a long way when you have collaboration and communication and trust, because it starts to be peer-to-peer accountability instead of it's always put on the leader. So the reason why I mention these is because when you talk about scenario A and scenario B, one's defeating. One sounds exhausting. And in case you're wondering which one that is, it is B. If you want to tell me to fill 40 hours, I will fill it. I will do what I am told, but it's going to be full of noise. It's going to be full of what I think is value added, and it might not be value added to someone else or their organization. If you talk about where productivity is lost, where energy is lost, it's in scenario B. Scenario A brings energy. It brings productivity. It brings autonomy. It brings flexibility to a workforce that's screaming for flexibility. It brings options to different ways to do work, such as job sharing and flexibility, and maybe even reduce schedules for people who are struggling right now, struggling with daycare, struggling with medical things or personal things that they can't put 40 hours in. Guess what? Get your 3 tasks done, and that's it. Move them to non-exempt. They don't need to be exempt. They get that many hours in, and then establish policies and procedures so that they can maintain benefits or that they understand when they would lose benefits. There's a lot of different options that we can do in this modern day workforce. Why I love this work and why I want you to think a little differently is because this new workforce is chasing the energy. This new workforce is realizing they cannot survive in a fast-paced, ever-changing world where technology is advancing at an obscene pace of change that we can't do things the way that we used to. We need to focus. We need to remove all the noise and provide value. And the way to be productive of that is to focus on results. So we need to move away from focusing on hours to focusing on outcomes. I hope that you subscribe and follow for all the future videos to come to Think Different.